Hello and welcome to Book of the Mouse Club, episode 31, Wednesday, November 27th, 2019.
Morning, monsieur.
Where are you off to?
The bookshop. I just finished the most wonderful story about a beanstalk and an ogre and...
That's nice. Marie! The baguettes! Hurry up!
I'm sorry, but how can one possibly pay attention to a book with no pictures in it?
My dear child, there are a great many good books in this world without pictures.
I almost bounced clear out of the book. Some bouncing, huh?
Come home or make myself known.
J. Thaddeus Turtle, Esquire. Have you never met him? You will find his story in this delightful little book, The Wind and the Willows.
I've come to return the book I borrowed.
Finished already?
Oh, I couldn't put it down. Have you got anything new?
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Courtney, and they say some people are worth melting for, and my co-host, Emily, is certainly one of them.
Oh, Courtney, you're too sweet. You're worth melting for, too.
Thanks. Well, if you haven't picked up, today we're doing our third installment of our Fairytale favorite series, and we're returning to Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales with The Snow Queen, which loosely inspired Walt Disney's Frozen, which is celebrating its 6th anniversary today, and the recently released Frozen 2.
Yes, and when we say loosely inspired, we really mean loosely inspired. So before we jump into the story, as always, we like to start with a little bit of history, and I really don't have that much this time about the Snow Queen. So once again, we use the Barnes & Noble Classic series of Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales to read the Snow Queen. And if you're interested in learning a lot more about this famous Danish author, we invite you to dive back under the sea in episode 27, where we discussed The Little Mermaid, the first Hans Christian Andersen story we read on this podcast. There, we talked a lot more about his background and where he got a lot of his inspirations. So The Snow Queen, I haven't found too much more than what we discussed from The Little Mermaid. It was published in 1844 as part of the New Fairy Tale, so his second volume of fairy tales. This is his longest fairy tale story, and a reminder, this is an original. So this is not coming from folklore. It might have some inspired elements, but this is a Hans Christian Andersen original story. Most of his stories took him months to write, but I found in my research this one only took a matter of days. And to quote Andersen, he said, "It came out dancing over the paper." The only other fun thing I could find about the Snow Queen was there's some loose speculation that the character of the Snow Queen is inspired by Swedish opera singer Jenny Lind, which I think we mentioned in our Little Mermaid episode as her being an inspiration and a love interest of Andersen's. Amuse. They were friends, but she refused some of his other advances. She didn't want to go beyond friendship. So there's some very loose speculation that maybe she was the Snow Queen, the frozen heart he couldn't warm.
She's the cold-hearted.
So why don't you take us over to the Disney history, which
Sure.
is a lot more extensive.
So I feel like this comes up a lot of times with Disney fairy tales, but this one also has ties to Walt Disney himself, kind of like we talked about on that Little Mermaid episode. So there's a feature on the Frozen Blu-ray that I owned. It was really nice. It featured Alice Davis and the directors of Frozen, where she discusses her husband Mark's early drawings and his ties to the story. So these early sketches were of an enchanted snow palace attraction that would have been at Disneyland, and the directors, as they're reviewing them with Alice, are actually surprised to see the ties in Mark's work to their own CGI renderings for the film. His sketch of the Snow Queen had a braid like Elsa, and the snow palace itself with like the icy stairs, like you could really see the similarities there. In addition to this planned attraction, Alice notes that dating back to the success of Snow White, when Walt was considering other fairy tales to adapt, the Snow Queen was among them. Within that history, it's most closely associated with a planned live-action Hans Christian Andersen musical biography as a joint effort with Disney and MGM, in which the Snow Queen would have been an animated sequence. MGM did end up making a biography of Andersen. I think it stars Danny Kaye, but no affiliation with Disney at that point. In terms of a more recent timeline of development, Glenn Keane, who I believe is most known for, well, among other things, he animated Ariel. He was attached to the project in the late 1990s, so still kind of within that Renaissance time frame, but he left to pursue what eventually became Tangled. So he kind of washes his hands of it. It gets put back on a shelf, so to speak, a little bit later, between 2000 and 2002. Michael Eisner tried to float the project with John Lasseter at Pixar, so it would have been a Pixar film, but their contract disputes got in the way. Of course, Bob Iger later resolves that, kind of make some amends with Steve Jobs, but that's a whole nother story. But what we eventually received in 2013 can trace its origins back to 2008 when Chris Buck, who is one of the co-directors, along with Jennifer Lee, he was named director. And he cited his desire to do a story based on kind of a different definition of true love and what we usually see from the princess films, which I think comes to light in the Frozen film, but not so based on the story, which we'll get to. What I found interesting was Josh Gad, who voices Olaf, was actually attached to this project for a long time. I found a quote of him in an article that said, quote, "I was originally involved with the project when it was a 2D effort and it was called Anna and the Snow Queen, and it was completely different. Megan Mullally was playing Elsa, and it really wasn't about sisterhood at all. I think it had more to do with the source material of Andersen's story. When I did that version, Olaf was a different character entirely." So interesting. Oh, sorry, end quote. So interesting that, you know, it seems like it might have been tied more. Megan Mullally would have been so fun. I love her from Will and Grace. And 2D, so somewhere along the line it decided to be a 3D animation. After that long process of growth, Frozen finally made it to theaters today, November 27th, 6 years ago in 2013. And as for many of our listeners know, it became a worldwide phenomenon, spanning subsequent cartoon shorts, theme park attractions and shows, and a Broadway musical, as well as the recent sequel that came out last week. We'll get to some of those film and theme park tie-ins in a bit, but let's dig into the source story itself now.
Real quick, I had kind of an observation while you were reading this. There's a lot of ties and similarities between The Little Mermaid and Frozen, beyond just being inspired by Hans Christian Andersen. They both have ties to Walt. They both got shelved, and both kind of started new Disney Renaissance eras. The Little Mermaid for the 1990s, and then Frozen was this big phenomenon that's now launched us, maybe not into a Renaissance, but a whole new style.
I'm going to disagree with you there, because
a whole new style, maybe, of Disney
I would
movies.
trace kind of the next Renaissance to Princess and the Frog really brings back the musical genre. Then Tangled has success. I mean, Frozen is definitely one of the most successful of this kind of like post 2000s. Like, I guess the most recent decade of films have been successful, but I don't know, I just feel like every time you hear about a fairy tale, like even Beauty and the Beast, allegedly considered by Walt, it's like, did he just have a list of all popular fairy tales? I feel like that, I mean, clearly it was attached to it because Alice Davis is sitting there showing you the concept art, but I'm like, man, is everything tied back to that?
But I definitely see a trend. Hans Christian Andersen stories for Disney have been a hit.
Oh, yeah.
Have been big hits. But yeah, let's get into the source material. So this story, as I said before, is his longest fairy tale, at least that I could find. This, in some respects, academics have classified it as a novella, which is a longer short story, but a short chapter book. When I counted the pages in our Barnes & Noble Classics version, it is 29 pages long without the photos or the illustrations. And it's told in 7 stories. So 7 mini chapters, and each are about at least 2 pages in length. I think chapters or stories like 4 and 5 were the longest.
Yeah, the stories, they have little chapter titles. There's The Mirror and the Fragments, A Little Boy and Little Girl, Flower Garden of the Woman Who Knew Magic, A Prince and Princess, The Little Robber Girl, The Sami Woman and the Finn Woman, what happened in the Snow Queen's castle and what happened later. So those all build off of each other. They really are, as you said, just chapter titles, not independent stories. It felt like they were related.
Yeah, you definitely do have to read from start to finish because, like you said, they build. The Mirror and the Fragments kind of gives us the lore with how the Snow Queen came to be and who she is. And then we meet our main characters and the little boy and little girl. And then 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the little girl's journey to find the little boy because he has been taken by the Snow Queen and his heart has been transformed by one of the fragments of the mirror, which was created by the trolls.
Yes.
I love that. Created by the trolls, and that mirror distorts reality and makes you see things as ugly or unattractive, and you become very pessimistic. You have a, quote, frozen heart, and you just become more icy as time goes on. So the whole bulk of the story is the girl, Gerda, looking for her friend Kai, and it kind of reminded me of Wizard of Oz a little bit, of being really episodic until we get to the Emerald City, or in this case, the castle of the Snow Queen. So having those little diversions that she realizes kind of throw her off track a little bit. She gets some help, but it takes her longer than she plans. And then we finally get to the Snow Queen's castle and the epilogue in chapter 7. Story 7.
Her friend Kai, I took it that they were like playmates. They were kind of like,
like neighbors.
Yeah, exactly. So she definitely feels very strongly about him. And when he goes missing with the Snow Queen, she's just on this quest to find him.
Yeah, I guess she would kind of be our Anna in this sense, where someone is taken from her that she cares about and goes on this quest to find them and has this absolute resolve that no matter what gets thrown her way, she perseveres through it.
Yeah, and that Josh Gad quote, when it was called Anna and the Snow Queen and they weren't sisters, that's the vibe I kind of assumed from it too. It was like, okay, so she's Gerda and she's searching for something or someone. Yeah,
so before we start drawing some Disney parallels here, what are your overall impressions of the original story?
Okay, so I thought I was reading the wrong story. This admittedly wasn't something that I was really familiar with. Like, I guess because Frozen, came out when you and I were about to graduate college, it's not like Beauty and the Beast or Little Mermaid that we grew up with. And then, so of course, that fairy tale, but your experience with that fairy tale is intrinsically linked to the Disney film itself. There really haven't been as many adaptations of this, and so I knew it was supposed to be a little different from the source material, but I was like, oh, I guess it's still going to be about sisters. And like literally I was reading it and I was like, oh my gosh, like, do we have the wrong version? Is this Barnes and Noble classic? Am I in the right chapter? Because there's a chapter right before it called The Ice Princess. And then I went to Wikipedia after I finished reading it just to make sure that I read the right story.
Yeah, and like I said in the Little Mermaid episode, there's not many different variations of Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales just because they were so well published and he did get a chance to publish them, I believe, in English. So there's not a lot of tweaking. And since a lot of it is his original tales, it's not variations of a folk tale.
Yeah.
Since it's his own original piece. So yeah, there's not like really other variations out there. It is the right one. I kind of felt the same. I saw parallels. I was able to find parallels pretty quickly, but they're pretty loose. They're, like we said, inspirations. They didn't pull from the plot very much.
No, that's why I got worried. From, the themes, which we'll get to.
Yeah. Overall, I didn't dislike it. I kind of wish there was more Snow Queen. There's very little Snow Queen. She's like in the lore in the first like 2 chapters of like her role, and then you don't even see her at the end. She's just
kind of mentioned.
She rides away to bring winter to a place that's currently summer because she's like in charge of the seasons.
Yeah,
and so like she's just not even there when she rescues Kai.
When Gerda rescues Kai.
Gerda, yes, rescues Kai. I'm just like, oh, that was easy.
I might have to read The Ice Princess. I don't know. But we did confirm that this is the right story.
Yeah.
Based on our research. I think you and I were like, oh, like we're planning out the year. And we're like, oh, Frozen 2 comes out and Frozen's based on the Snow Queen. But we didn't quite know what to expect.
Yeah. Um, so what did you think of this fairy tale compared to others? We have brought up in all of our past fairy tale favorites the idea of darkness, because that's something that people talk about as lost, quote, in today's fairy tales. Did you find any darkness really in the story?
It definitely didn't seem as dark as Snow White or The Little Mermaid or even other fairy tales that I've read.
Yeah,
And it's
I got the same vibe.
like it wasn't very graphic. I don't know. I'm still like stuck on The Little Mermaid where the sea witch cuts out her tongue. So none of that here.
Yeah, I didn't see as much darkness. I think there's moments where you're a little appalled, like the little robber girl is pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
And she likes holding a knife at people's throats when she talks to them, and you're just like, okay, child. And she's like holding these pigeons and a reindeer hostage as her pets. Um, but like,
But she didn't cut out their tongues.
right, and all the other adults and people she encounters in this story, no one's looking to hurt her.
Right.
There is magic, so I guess that loose term of darkness doesn't have to necessarily be evil, but that mysticalness. So the woman who knew magic, the first person she encounters with the flower garden, who's kind of trying to keep her hostage just because she wants company, but it's
Yeah.
not like malice. She treats her very well. She gives her everything she wants. She just wants company. But yeah, so really only the robber girl chapter did I really see darkness.
And I felt like the mirror that starts the story with the trolls is kind of like, oh, this mirror broke into many pieces. And I kind of saw that as the common allegory of like original sin, like Garden of Eden, and like, oh, now you've unlocked knowledge. But still, like, that wasn't dark. Like, yeah, it has some ties to sin, but beyond
And they
that.
said the mirror was created by the trolls, quote, to the devil himself. But yeah, other than that, but I didn't really see that as dark. I just saw it as that origin story.
Yeah.
Of like, this is why Kai gets in trouble is because he gets a shard of this mirror in his eye and in his heart.
What other themes did you find within there?
So this is one that I saw and then was kind of confirmed when I was reading some other articles online, of some reviews, as well as some people who really love this story and took it to heart. A big one is the power is within yourself. So Gerda gets help along the way numerous times, to help her reach her destination. But when she's with the Finn woman, I read a footnote that within Danish culture or in Danish folklore, like the Finnish were kind of seen as magical, wise, all-knowing, kind of maybe just because of geographically they're further north. There's some mystery around that. But the reindeer and Gerda asked the Finn woman like for extra help because she's almost at the Snow Queen's castle. She has the final destination. She's like, is there anything you can give me? And the Finn woman goes, you've made it this far on your own. Even though you've accepted food and shelter, you have done this on your own. You have made it yourself. You don't need anything more powerful. And then when she goes and finds Kai, the quote, love will thaw a frozen heart here. She saves Kai on her own. She doesn't have anything extra. It's just her own love and sincerity. So that's really the theme I got out of this.
Yeah, and I didn't take that necessarily as a romantic love, kind of like we see in the film Frozen. I mean, like, yes, they're a boy and a girl, so we're always going to, like, kind of prescribe that heteronormative type thing to it. But because they were young kids, I saw it more as, like, a brotherly, sisterly love in the way it was described.
Yeah, just that innocence and sincerity.
Yes.
And always wanting to do the right thing. I guess is just saying that that's what I got out of it, is that is what's powerful. And that's how you can save your friends, bring out the good in the world, defeat someone like the Snow Queen, a frozen heart, bring people around to you. A little bit of don't trust adults.
There's some shady
but with
adults.
her sincerity, they come around to her.
Yeah.
Because she is just so sweet and so pure. But that's really what I got out of it. The sin part, I saw the allegory there, but I don't think there was any theme of don't sin
It's
or
not
something.
a moral tale.
Or maybe, yeah, or maybe to overcome sin.
Yeah.
have these sincerities, but that's really...
It didn't seem to wrap up as we discussed with Little Mermaid, where there's just like this random lesson to children thrown in at the end.
Yeah.
But it was weird because the chapter in our Barnes & Noble one, wasn't it called like religious texts or something?
Yeah, it's classified.
Do you have it right there?
I do have the book right next to me. So in the Barnes & Noble text, the stories are not necessarily put in chronological order. They're put in thematic order. And this one is listed under evangelical and religious tales, yes.
But I wasn't picking up on that a lot, other than like the sin thing. Like at first, because that's the opening, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, like...
Yeah.
Dangerous
well,
knowledge.
It ends with her saving Kai, reciting the phrase, "Roses in the valley grow, and baby Jesus there we know." And then when she gets home, when they get back to the grandmother, and the grandmother, like, sees them, the grandmother says, "Grandmother was sitting in God's clear sunshine, reading aloud from the Bible. Verily I say unto you, except ye become as little children, ye shall not enter the kingdom of heaven." And Kai and Gerda looked into each other's eyes and understood at once the old hymn, "Roses in the valley grow, and baby Jesus there we know." And there they both sat, grown up and yet children, children in their hearts, and it was summer, and the warm, blessed summer. And that's the end. So maybe it's just our contemporary lens.
Yeah.
That we don't quite get that.
It's not a hymn that I know.
It's not one that I know as well. I admit I'm not practiced religious. Mm-hmm. So my knowledge of the Bible is very limited.
Yeah, that doesn't jump out to me.
Yeah.
I took it more as like, oh, like, they're still innocent children, but they have some more knowledge, but maybe not like a complete loss of innocence as is often
right, so
common.
They still have a chance of getting into heaven because they're pure of heart, kind towards others and each other. But yeah, so it was interesting. I wasn't quite pulling the religious subtext either as much as I think I did in The Little Mermaid. I feel like I felt a little more in The Little Mermaid.
But that's in a different chapter, so I was like, weird categorization.
Did you have a favorite part of this tale?
Even though it really didn't go anywhere, I liked section 3, the flower garden of the woman who knew magic. Just kind of liked the descriptions in that section. Like, it sounded like a very nice place for her to be. And like you said, the woman wasn't malicious. Like, she's just very tender, and she's like, oh, I always wanted a little girl. But then I liked how the flowers help her. Like, they look into the ground to see if Kai is dead or alive, and that kind of made me think of Alice in Wonderland when the flowers talk to her.
I was getting total Alice in Wonderland vibes in that chapter.
It was fun for my imagination because I really liked the descriptions in that section. So it was cool to picture like how that would have been animated if this was actually inspiring the film.
For me, it was the first chapter. I really enjoyed the myth and the legend of the mirror and the trolls and how it all comes about.
At that point, you're like, okay, yeah, there's trolls in Frozen.
I just felt like it was a lot more driving, and with that fantasy and myth and mystery, that held my attention a little bit. I didn't dislike the journeys that the Gerda went on, but even though the stories aren't that long, I would eventually lose interest. At least for me. Which is weird because a lot of the stuff that I was reading online and reviews is just how much people love this story. And I was like, I'm not quite there, but okay. So that's just my take. So I really like the first chapter. I think the first 1 through 3 held my attention a lot more. And then I was like, okay, can we get to the castle?
It would have been nice to kind of know what was going on with Kai. Like, I feel like I would have liked some duality. Like, okay, and cut to what's he up to in the Ice Palace? Because she kind of just shows up and he's there.
Yeah, I noted that was my least favorite part as well, is that it just wraps up so fast.
Yeah, they're like,
she gets there
free.
And she just gives him a hug and starts crying.
And he has some kind of puzzle to free himself, but that wasn't very clear to me. And then her tears illuminate the puzzle and they're like, all right, you're free.
I think it was that idea that the puzzle was impossible as long as his heart was still frozen and he saw things in a distorted reality, because he solves the puzzle once Gerda frees him.
The puzzle itself just wasn't clear. I'm like, but what's the puzzle?
Yeah,
give me the riddle. I want to
like,
solve it.
Hans Christian Andersen said, the story just danced onto the page, but I feel like it was not quite as refined.
Good writing is rewriting, so maybe take a second look at that draft.
And again, maybe those religious themes, we're just missing it with our contemporary lens that really spoke to people. I got the theme. Gerda is a powerful character. I like her a lot. We did get to know her very well. But yeah, I feel like some of the other characters in the periphery that she encounters are not very driven. And Kai is not very well developed. And then we don't even get the Snow Queen at the end. The whole thing is called The Snow Queen. And we see her at the beginning because she kidnaps Kai, and then she's not even there. There's no showdown.
Much got White Witch from Chronicles of Narnia vibe. Like, let's just pick this kid up in a sleigh, and you're cold. Like, I was like waiting for the Turkish delight to come out.
Yes, I even listed Chronicles of Narnia as a recommended other resource because
that Snow Queen has agency.
Yeah, but I feel like there was a lot. There's a big epic battle at the end with the Snow Queen on that one, so she had a lot more going for her in Chronicles of Narnia. But I was getting some Narnia vibes a little bit as well. Shall we move into Frozen?
Yeah, sure. So as we've kind of hinted at, not much was the same. There's the Queen, and there's snow,
and there's a frozen heart,
some trolls, and a reindeer, but I think it stops there.
Yeah, I like this quote that you found from producer Peter DeVecco about why it's not quite that way. So I'm going to read this for a second. So Hans Christian Andersen's original version of The Snow Queen is pretty dark tale and doesn't translate easily into a film. For us, the breakthrough came when we tried to give really human qualities to the Snow Queen. When we decided to make the Snow Queen Elsa and our protagonist Anna sisters, that gave way to relate to the characters in a way that conveyed that what each was going through, and that would relate to today's audiences. This film has a lot of complicated characters and complicated relationships in it. There are times when Elsa does villainous things, but because you understand where it comes from this desire to defend herself, you can always relate to her. Inspired means exactly that. There is snow and there is ice and there is a queen. But other than that, we depart from it quite a bit. We do try to bring scope and scale that you would expect, but do it in a way that we understand the characters and relate to them.
So that was the quote that made me feel like, okay, I read the right story. I find it odd, though, that he says it's a pretty dark tale, because like we just said, I don't know, it didn't seem as dark as other fairy tales, and I don't know why that would inhibit it from being made into a film.
Yeah, because they were able to do Snow White, they were able to do Cinderella, which one day we'll read Cinderella, but that was a pretty dark one as well.
Yeah. Oh God, the eyes, and they peck them out. Anyway, that's a different podcast episode.
It's a different podcast.
What do you think was one of the challenges? Though I know Peter goes into it a bit, but did you see any other challenges in adapting
I think it's similar to the challenges that Walt Disney had with creating Alice in Wonderland, which I know we haven't done an episode or read Alice, but there was a lot of difficulties because it is so episodic that there's not really a strong plot. So while there is an ending, a means, whereas like Alice doesn't have quite as much of an ending or like a drive throughout, there's a really loose drive here of rescue Kai.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's not really much to go off of.
I'd agree with the episodic. I feel like as you're telling the story, it's something where like you could tell a chapter to your kid each night, but when you start to put that on film, it probably drags it down. I mean, as you said, you were like, okay, but like, can we get to the next part?
And the Snow Queen's not much of a villain.
No, there's really no villain. It's just her journey to find Kai. So I can see that it's like, what exactly is she? But I wonder why they were so like determined to make something of it.
I guess because of its popularity. I think
feel
there
like
is
I
a.
never heard of this.
I have heard of the Snow Queen prior to Frozen.
Okay.
My introduction to this was a children's theater show of the Snow Queen. But it was so long ago. I remember the mirror and the shards of glass and the queen from the play, but that's about it. I was very young. I was probably 6 years old. Um, but even that show probably had a lot of rewrites and revisions to have more of a drive, because I think I do remember seeing more of the queen. You saw more of Kai suffering with
Yeah.
the Snow Queen. So I know this story existed, but yeah, beyond that, I haven't watched. It's from research you and I both did. There's lists of things that this story has inspired, but I'm like, I haven't seen them. I haven't looked at them. The most well known is Frozen.
Yeah.
So some things I did pick up as similar, since there is so much that's different. You know, there's a troll. Yeah, we get the trolls and stuff. But I saw a couple maybe metaphors or parallels.
Okay.
So I thought of Hans of the Southern Isles,
Who is
as
this
kind of the
Hans?
mirror, because he's the distorted reality. He's the big plot twist.
That's fair.
So I kind of saw him as the distorted reality. You can't trust what you see. And kind of also the same for her, Elsa, the king and queen, the parents. Fear of Elsa's power is that they kind of saw things, that power and its might, as maybe being as monstrous, or I don't want to say ugly like Hans Christian Andersen says, but an ugly side of their family. But that's also a distortion. It's not ugly, it's just fear. And then obviously the frozen heart. Disney did take that part literally.
Yeah.
Anna has a frozen heart at one point. Elsa in the second film. Oh, spoilers. So they take that piece quite literally, and it's Anna and her own love. She has no additional power. Anna does this on her own selflessness and sincerity is what melts her own heart.
Parallels Gerda's love and sincerity to
Exactly.
kind of free Kai. He doesn't necessarily have a frozen heart, but he's enchained
free
in this ice palace.
And they freed, the frozen kingdom of Arendelle as well. So those were the parallels I got. The trolls are by no means devils.
No,
or they're the love experts in this one. So how do you think, though, there's some loose parallels, but how do you think Disney plussed the telling of this story?
They made it a musical and cast Idina Menzel.
Okay, true.
No, I think they really, it's so different, but it's not episodic in nature. There's a hero and the journey, and it hits all of those plot beats that you can follow through to the end.
Agreed. And even the adventures Anna has along the way to get to Elsa, every character she encounters, like Olaf and Kristoff, actually have meaning and drive to the rest of the plot. The story wouldn't be the story without them, whereas the prince and princess from story number 4, she got a carriage, which got her to the next place, and then they're forgettable.
Yeah, it's kind of just each person's pushing Gerda along to the next step in her journey, but it's not really related, whereas I feel like you're very much more invested in Anna's journey.
Absolutely, and they push her further than just the next step. Like, they're with her at the end. And it wouldn't be a story without them. And there's also an actual villain. It's a great plot twist.
Oh, so good. Never saw that one coming.
Yeah. So yeah, the characters definitely make this, and the fact that there is an actual driving plot. And I think what the producer, Peter Del Vecchio, I think I'm saying that right, said that there's a lot of relatableness. A fear of not wanting to show yourself, a fear of betrayal, that someone you thought you knew turns out not to be someone you knew. So those things, like he said, having some relatable circumstances.
What do you
I
think
agree.
is darker, the fairy tale or the Disney movie?
In some ways, I think the Disney movie might be. Not necessarily dark as in villainous, but kind of that internal darkness. Like we see that with Elsa, afraid
Definitely
of
in Frozen
herself.
2.
Yes,
Which we'll
definitely in
get
Frozen
to.
2. But there's the darkness of the parents, and she's hurt her sister, and there's a lot more, maybe not dark, like sinister, but there's a lot more tragedy.
Yeah. No, yeah, that counts as dark.
So in that way, do you think any of the themes or morals were different?
I was surprised that the story wasn't about sisters when I was reading it, but I guess I can see a similar bond between Gerda and Kai, and again, that new take on true love. I think Disney takes it a step further where they're like, this is a familial love between two sisters versus two friends, but it's not like in either that there's a kiss that can solve it. It very quite literally addresses that, and head on is like, that's not what we're going for.
It's still that idea of a different kind of love than what Disney, like you were saying, Disney shows in its other fairy tales, which I really enjoyed that. I really like that about this film. That self-actualization, I think, is still there with Anna, that you don't, like, Elsa has powers. And many times people were like, Anna, how are you going to confront this? She has magical powers. Anna doesn't need magical powers to solve these problems and confront her sister and help her sister. So I saw that come through.
Her journey is similar to Gerda in that way. I think even in Frozen 2, it's about Anna's own strength in some ways.
Yeah, I agree. So just overall, love is powerful. People are worth melting for.
Speaking of the film, what were your favorite parts of that?
Oh goodness. How many times have we seen this film?
So many. Oh my gosh.
Many.
In college, when it came out on DVD, I'm pretty sure my roommate Betsy and I just like watched it every night while we did our homework. Like,
it is
8 days
so good.
in a row.
The film is fantastic. And it's a great story. I love the music. I love the characters. Like, it's hard to pick a favorite character in this one, because they are also dynamic. I think some of my favorite parts, I think, are the build-up. The first half of the movie is more of my favorite, seeing Anna's journey. I really love the banter between her and Kristoff, and I love how much Disney makes fun of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You can't marry a man you just met. Literally half of the Disney fairy tales.
Yes.
It's very Romeo and Juliet of, oh my God, I'm in love. It's been 3 days.
I love Olaf.
Olaf is so great.
Oh, his little one-liners. Like, it's hard to balance a character like that because, like, if you go just too far, it becomes annoying. But I don't feel that way. And even with Frozen 2, like, his gems are so good.
Yeah, Josh Gad is brilliant.
100%.
Do you have a favorite Olaf one-liner?
I don't even have a skull. No, is it? I don't have a skull. Or bones.
Yeah, I don't have bones. Oh yeah, I don't have a skull or bones.
And oh look, I've been impaled.
That was my favorite.
So dry, but like cracks me up.
So matter of fact.
I know we're gonna get to Frozen 2 and we're just gonna put the spoiler warnings out there, but when he recaps all of Frozen 1, I was like,
I died. I was dying.
And I was like, oh my God. I like sat up out of my chair cracking up at that part.
Yeah, Olaf is great. Any least favorite parts
of
Frozen?
I really like that movie. I don't know, the ice cutting song is kind of weird.
I like it for the fact that it really entrenches you in some of the culture.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like
they talk about the frozen part of the ice, and so it kind of sets up some parallels if you really listen to the lyrics.
I just don't understand why they're harvesting ice. Like, I have questions, but I remember when that would come on the soundtrack, Betsy and I would just make the grunting noises like, huh, who do that? Because they just like grunt.
Fun fact, Courtney, I have harvested ice out of a lake.
Okay, tell me more because this is brand new information to me. Why?
So listeners know I'm a teacher and I'm very into not just government politics, but history. I studied history. And weird facts of my childhood. My cousin, who lives in Pennsylvania, also really enjoys history, and they have a living historic farm that in that area in the Pocono Mountains. It's called Quiet Valley, that has been operating the same way since I want to say 1790s. And when the family that bought it and turned it into a museum got it in like the 60s or 70s, everything is still there. So it's a living museum. They still do things that way. And they have an ice house that they fill with ice. And there is a lake that when the ice is thick enough, they invite people to come witness what ice harvesting looks like. So it's a learning experience and you can partake. So I have sawed ice, marked it out with the ladder, sawed ice, and plucked it out with the giant tongs and slid it across the lake onto a sled. I have done that a couple times
Next time
in my middle school years.
Next time you play Two Truths and a Lie, please make that one of your truths.
I usually say that I've been to a one-room schoolhouse as my two truths and a lie. So I actually, for a summer, went
go
to
with
school
the ice.
and a one-room schoolhouse at that place. So yeah, maybe the ice is more exciting. I'll go with that one next. I'll switch out my lie or my truths to that. But yeah, so ice has a really big piece in economics back in historic times because it was a constant source of fresh water.
Okay.
You could keep it cold all summer actually with sawdust or other insulants. So all the blocks of ice together plus sawdust or other things to insulate it, that ice could last you for over a year. And so it's a constant source of fresh water when you maybe can't get it.
All right. That makes sense. Thank you. Now I have a deeper appreciation for the people cutting ice at the beginning of the
so that's
film.
why Kristoff is kind of pissed off when when he's like, I'm a guy selling ice in the middle of winter. Because it was actually summer. So it was supposed to be the height of his selling season because people would need ice to keep on hand to keep their food cold and food preservation, to use for ice cream, to use for drinking water. And now he's like, now there's snow and ice everywhere. People don't need my ice. And that's why he's kind of annoyed when we meet him at Oaken's Post.
Interesting. Well, thank you for that.
Hope you learned something today.
I didn't know we were going to go there. Well, we're now 6 years exactly away from the release of the film. I know that's not long in terms of Disney film history, but how do you think it stands up today?
I mean, there's a reason it's a phenomenon.
Yeah.
I really think the, quote, annoyance people have with it is not anything to do with the movie itself. It's just kind of its overplayed popularity. I don't think anyone's actually disappointed when they actually watch it.
Yeah.
But when you say, hey, what do you want to watch? Maybe people are a little tired of it. I think it stands up completely. It's a masterpiece, in my opinion, technologically and visually gorgeous. The music, there's a reason it won. That's the original song.
Through that, so loved the film when it came out, was like so excited for it to be out on DVD at the time. As I said, like Betsy and I watched it all the time in college. And then when I arrived for my Disney college program in 2014, it's like at the height of it. So I know like there was just a feeling where it's like, oh my gosh, it's everywhere. And so like, ashamed to admit, but got like a little annoyed at that part. But then now that that's kind of died down, I'm like, no, this is definitely in my top 5 favorite Disney movies.
Oh, yeah. I agree. The saturation has definitely gone down. I think now that Anna and Elsa have a space in Epcot, which I know was very controversial when it was happening, but I think now that they have a permanent spot, there wasn't a need to put it everywhere. And that helped rein it in a little bit.
And it's not that wasn't unprecedented. Over the summer, I appeared on the Mad Chatters for their Lion King episode, and I got to kind of dig into the Lion King presence in the park. And very similarly, there was this phenomenon where it's like, let's put Lion King in Epcot and Circle of Life. Let's add a show to the theater in Fantasyland and Magic Kingdom just because it's so popular. So they want, when people go to Walt Disney World or Disneyland, they want to see their favorite characters. So it does make sense from a consumer perspective.
I agree. And I'm more appreciative now that it's died down a little bit. I think now it's getting, again, the recognition it deserves as a masterpiece film. And you could see that with the release of Frozen 2. Just from its opening weekend this past weekend, it broke movie records. It's the highest grossing animated feature film of all time, both domestically and internationally, with $358.2 million.
Before we get into Frozen 2, do you want to just kind of talk about the park since we're on that beat a little bit?
Sure.
So we're just going through some of the history. There is an Anna and Elsa princess float in the Festival of Fantasy Parade. Now, this is where I'm going to say all views are my own, do not represent the Walt Disney Company, and I don't know the validity of this, but have you heard that the float was supposed to have Sleeping Beauty on it, but then they're like, let's put Anna and Elsa on instead?
No.
I heard that. I don't know how true that is. Again, like, we're not gonna like spread false information, but if anyone can like confirm that, I'd be interested to know.
That would be interesting. Small tangent here. Because she does have, or Beauty and the Beast has a section at the end of off with Prince Philip or Sleeping Beauty, sorry, with Prince Philip and
but
the dragon,
Aurora's
Maleficent.
not in it.
Right, so it would kind of make sense if she was going to be maybe on her own at the front of the float, because you couldn't have him battling the dragon and at the front of the float.
No, of course, but if it was just her.
So I think it kind of works better that if it was her by herself, whereas everyone else on that float, though, is a couple of some sort.
I feel like the timing, like, checks out, because that parade premiered in March of 2014, so that's, like, just under 6 months after Frozen. But later in 2014, the castle lighting changed from Cinderella and the fairy godmother used to light up the castle at Christmas time as the sun set, and now ever since 2014 it is our Frozen friends, so Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, and Olaf help light the castle.
I like how they do it.
I think
because
it's nice.
They don't call it Elsa's castle. At no point does Elsa say my castle. She says, we're visitors here.
Like,
do you think it'd be okay if they let us add ice to their castle?
Snow. They peer pressure Elsa into that.
Yes.
But it's cute. But I can see this was kind of, as we were talking about, everyone's like, oh my gosh, like everything's getting frozen. But agreed, I like it. I mean, that's what was there when I came to Disney.
So I like how they frame it, and I like that it's not super long. You get your Frozen taste, you get to see the characters, and they're gone in 5 minutes. And you appreciate the castle. And speaking of the castle, Let It Go and Love is an Open Door are featured in the newest fireworks display, Happily Ever After.
I really like that rendition of Love is an Open Door.
I do too. It's beautiful.
Want that like on a CD or something. It's like slowed down a little bit, like kind of folksy in a way.
It's much more of a ballad.
Yeah.
And it's almost sad. Not very sad, but a little...
It has a somber tone to it. I
can
do that.
It's more reflective, maybe?
Yeah, that's fair. I think that covers everything at Magic Kingdom. Now, during my Disney College program, Anna and Elsa did meet at Princess Fairytale Hall, and during that summer had upwards of 4-hour lines to meet them. But then they moved over to Epcot, and they are in their summer house in the Norway Pavilion, where you can meet and greet both of them, and their outfits just recently changed to reflect their outfits in Frozen 2. And there's also, of course, the attraction Frozen Ever After. Sometimes a touchy subject for Disney Parks fans. Aaron Wallace has a great discussion in his Thinking Fans Guide to Epcot about this, and like IP and Epcot, and what does that mean. I liked Maelstrom, but I'll admit I also enjoy Frozen Ever After, and I think the animatronics are very impressive.
I agree. If we can just separate the politics a little bit of it and just appreciate the ride and the attraction for what it is, it's a wonderfully constructed attraction. It tells a nice story. The indoor queue is one of the best themed queues, I think, in Walt Disney World. And it's enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. You hear your favorite songs. They have the little tiny snowman babies from...
Snowgies.
The Snowgies from...
Snowgies, because they're boogies, because they come from her nose.
Oh.
That's literally their name.
Oh my god, how did I miss that?
But...
and they're from Frozen Fever 2015. So by the time that this all comes around, it's nice to see some of those other connections. I think that's all for Epcot.
Yeah, it's concentrated in Norway. I forget, did you get to see Frozen Summer Fun? It would have been at the
I did not.
end of, well, it was ending at the beginning of your college program.
I did not. I got down there in August and it was wrapped up.
Gotcha. So when I got there in August of 2014, they extended it until September because it was that big. So I was glad because Doug and I really like that movie, and so it was nice that we both got to see that. They did Frozen fireworks, so the fireworks set to the music, and that was impressive. There was no projection mapping at that time, just a nice fireworks show, collection of the music. They had Wandering Oaken's Trading Post on one of the sound stages that is now defunct, but it had a bunch of Frozen merchandise. But what was cool is they had ice skating indoors and snow that you could play with.
My friend Alexis on her Disney College program, and then she stayed seasonal for I think 2 or 3 years. She worked that ice skating quite a few times.
So I think it was that. In the 2015, they brought it back and they added like a little stage show where the Star Wars one takes place during the day now, and it was kind of just like Olaf came out and there were dancers and like did some songs, just a brief little thing. But since Frozen Summer Fun, that came with the Frozen Sing-Along, which used to be at the Premier Theater, which is also now defunct and has moved over to where the American Idol experience was, kind of right in the front of the park there. And I love the Frozen Sing-Along.
So my first encounter with the Frozen Sing-Along, one of my friends was sorority sisters and friends was visiting me during my college program, and she loves Frozen. Absolutely loves Frozen. She came in an Elsa tank top when I picked her up. Like, I think it was a popular one from Target or something. She was ready, and she's like, we have to do this sing along. And I wasn't against doing it, but it wasn't like priority of my list of doing things. I was like, okay, you know, I haven't done it. Let's do it. I am so glad.
It's so funny.
It's amazing. It's incredibly funny, and it's geared toward that audience that might be reluctant to come in because it's, quote, Frozen.
Yeah.
So it hits everyone. If you love the film, you get the songs, you see the characters, and then you kind of see the film in a whole new way with our, the Arendelle historians.
Yes, Arya and Eric, who are hilarious. Definitely worth checking out if you're at Hollywood Studios. There is also a show over at the Disneyland Resort, and I think this might be the only Frozen present. So you can sometimes Anna and Elsa visit California as well, and you're able to visit them in their animation experience. They have a meet and greet there. And there's the Frozen Live at the Hyperion, which is a fabulous show. Kind of like a toned down or scaled down version of a Broadway show. But it's over an hour, and it's a very nice theater. We saw that, I guess, on our last trip to Disneyland last year in October. Finally made it into that theater. It was definitely worth prioritizing. Gorgeous, like, great use of projection mapping. Very impressive, nice vocals, and very interestingly, colorblind casting. So good for Disney on doing that.
Nice. So let's backtrack a little bit and start talking sequels.
All right.
Before Frozen 2, we have gotten 2 sequel shorts that build off of the original Frozen. So in 2015, we got Frozen Fever. This was celebrating Anna's birthday, and Elsa is trying to give her sister the birthday she never got because they were kind of estranged a little bit as children after the incident. And this is where we get the Snowbees. Did I say that right?
Yes, snowy. They're like boogies, but they're snow. Because she sneezes them, and they just keep coming out of her nose.
They're so cute. Olaf, the antics with Olaf and them.
And I like that they've had a presence in subsequent things, like here and there. Like, they're in the attraction. I think they make an appearance in Olaf's Frozen Adventure and stay for the end credits at Frozen 2. But Olaf's Frozen Adventure came out in 2017, very clearly made for TV, but ended up being tacked onto Coco as the short, but it's not quite your normal short, running at 22 minutes long.
Yeah.
But here, Olaf tries to find family traditions for Anna and Elsa for the holidays, so he visits other people within Arendelle to learn about it. And there's quite a bit of songs in those 22 minutes. I just recently, we rewatched it the other night after we saw Frozen 2, because it's available on Disney+. It was fun to revisit that one.
Yeah, and looking at the timeline, it looks like even though it's been 6 years between Frozen and Frozen 2, we've gotten something, quote, new Frozen every 2 years. 2013, Frozen, 15, Frozen Fever, 17, Olaf's Adventure, and now in 2019, Frozen 2.
Good insight.
So listeners, spoilers. If you have not seen Frozen 2, take a pause. Come back.
Go see it, and then come back.
Yes. So as I said earlier, it's 6 years to the day almost. 4 days prior. And it broke a lot of movie records with over $350 million in the first weekend. So Courtney, it was obviously a hit money-wise, but was it for you? What were your impressions?
I really liked it. And I had a feeling I would. I mean, they're just such strong characters, an amazing cast. Really like the new songs. I feel like the original movie songs are more of my favorite, but I have been listening to the soundtrack on Spotify, and I'm getting more into it. What about you?
I agree with the music, that the music is good. I have no qualms with it, but I think Let It Go is just such a sticking point that it's really hard to measure up to that bar. I enjoyed it as well. There were a couple of moments for me where I feel like the second film is more serious than the first. And I didn't dislike, but I didn't love getting taken out of some of those serious moments. I feel like at a couple points when Disney was really starting to dig deep, I love the humor. The humor, I think, is one of the strengths of this film, particularly with Olaf. But really only in like one or two places. I was like, no, I want to know more about the parents. I want to know more about this. And it gets like interrupted almost. And I was like, no, I get you're trying to be funny, and because it's so serious, you need that humor, particularly for this audience, to make it well-rounded for both kids, teens, adults.
It did,
but I had a couple of moments
more mature though.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you find any themes in this movie to tie to the original story?
I think that theme of you have it within yourself is still there, but they really drive it in a different direction. So Frozen, we can do this together, that sisterly bond. But then Frozen 2, it's kind of that growing up
It's
piece.
like a point of contention between them.
Right, like Elsa, now here come the spoilers, calling from this spirit, and we have this really awesome mythical story, which maybe that's a parallel to the original tale, that we have this, it begins with a myth and like a story from far back, which is the basis for the whole plot, that there's this indigenous group of people that live in the Enchanted Forest. I do not remember how to pronounce the name of those people. I believe it begins with an N. My apologies. And we have people from Arendelle and how these two kingdoms have coexisted, but then politics arise, and Arendelle, there's this contention over, well, who started the feud, Arendelle or the indigenous people? So this idea of finding truth, and Elsa's called by this nature spirits to find the truth and help repair this damaged relationship. But Anna's really scared of losing her sister again and seeing Elsa go back to that dark place, that she's really apprehensive about letting Elsa go on this personal journey. So this togetherness, we can do it together, and we don't have to be afraid of each other from part one of Frozen. We now have, like you said, that point of contention. And I think that was a theme of, you have to be okay with change. It's going to happen. The things that matter are still permanent. You still have that love for each other, but you're going to end up going different ways. And that can be hard to accept sometimes. And Anna still had it within herself. She still saves the day. She saves Elsa again. But yeah. So some comparisons. I think some of those overall themes carry through from the original tale and from Frozen. But other than that, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Um, I said humor was a strength. Did you have other things that you think really helped this
Um,
film?
I kind of liked how self-aware it was, or meta in a sense. Like,
Yes.
there were things, as we said, like Olaf recaps the movie that harkens back to it. Like, they're not afraid to like make fun of Hans, who has no presence in this film other than
Oh
those
yeah, there's numerous
references.
times that they diss Hans, and it's
Yeah,
great.
I felt like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like something, not that Disney One hasn't done many theatrical sequels, but certainly we got a lot of those direct-to-VHS ones in the late 90s and early 2000s, but I felt like they didn't really feel self-referential. Like, oftentimes it was more like a midquel, other than, of course, the gem that is Lion King 1.5. But in that
We
regard,
digress.
I liked seeing that. Like, it really did feel like a continuation of the same story in that regard. Was there anything you would have liked to see more of?
I would have liked to see more of the parent backstory. I thought that was so cool how we finally get some answers about the ship and the shipwreck.
They are not Tarzan's parents.
And they are not going to Rapunzel's wedding. So I was like kind of happy they defeated those fan theories. I was kind of could see the Rapunzel one, the Tarzan one. I was like, no. The historian in me was like, they're two different universes. They're two different timelines.
The dads have the same mustache, and that's it. Like,
and they didn't get stranded. No, it's too far. And technological wise, like the end of Frozen 2, they're like, what is this? And they're like, oh, it's a photograph. So photography is just being invented here.
And there are photographs in Tarzan. Good picking up on
movies
that.
And whatever. So I've always been against the Tarzan one.
Yes.
The Rapunzel one, I kind of was with it because she makes a cameo that I was like, okay, maybe. But we learned a lot more about the parents and their journey, as well as the relationship between the mom and the dad. They're each are from a different, I guess, tribe. One is from the indigenous tribe and one is from Arendelle. So I just really wanted more there. I think they really set up something that could have just been more.
I'm hoping we maybe get some more in, like, deleted scenes or bonus features, because that seems common.
Yeah, maybe because it wasn't necessarily driving the plot for Anna and Elsa, who are obviously the main characters, but as someone who enjoys lore and backstory and history, I'm like, I want to know more. Like, what is this drive? And maybe if they're trying to set up another third film, there's a little bit there. Maybe they could work with the Enchanted River that they find. Oh my gosh, I'm really blanking on the Norwegian names here.
They're kind of blending together.
So I think maybe they could do a little bit more there because they go on the ship for the journey to find the source of Elsa's powers and why she has them. So maybe they're leaving some to be desired for possibly a third film. But that was really the thing that I wanted, was to see more parent backstory and that drive of their history. But it didn't detract from the film, I don't think, in any way. Anything for you?
No, I mean, I feel like I'm with you on that one.
So let's talk about Anna and Elsa, because they both go through some character arcs here, developing even further. What did you think about their characters in this film and their overall ending?
So I kind of felt like it was spoiled for me, because I went on Twitter and people were like, oh, new costumes, but I didn't get to see the movie till Saturday. And they showed up in the parks in their costumes, which are very pretty. But Anna had a
very
crown,
revealing,
and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, like, I don't think it really, like, detracted that much from my film experience, but then, like, I was a mess Friday and Saturday. I was like, don't tell me anything, because, like, I already had that, like, one piece spoiled for me. I was like, I don't want to hear anything else. Like, we were at a coworker's housewarming. I was like, nobody talk to me about Frozen. I'm going to see it at 2:30.
And Anna was also wearing an engagement ring.
Oh, I didn't catch that at that time.
Yeah, so there's one of the photos that was on Twitter, because it got spoiled for me too. I was kind of mad at the Twitter universe a little bit, because people were like, oh my god, look, spoilers, and would post the photo. Right. I'm like, if you're worried about the spoilers, don't put a photo, just say, people, don't look at these.
Yeah.
I'm like, you helped spread it.
I should have
but yeah, she
Frozen on Twitter, like, so it didn't show up. Now I know.
So she has a ring, to which I had some questions. Again, all of these are our own opinions. I'm curious about Disney meet and greets here, that Anna wears her engagement ring, but Cinderella's married. Ariel's married. Why
But
aren't they
do we
wearing
ever
rings?
see proposals? I don't know.
No, but we know they get married, so they're not wearing wedding rings.
Yeah, but then it's the question of like, where are you when you are entering their world? Like, you still
True, they're
meet,
not married
you
yet.
meet the beast, not the prince. But then, like, here you are clearly in a post Frozen 2
True.
experience.
Which is interesting.
But in terms of like where they end up, I was happy for them, even though I kind of saw it coming. I found it interesting. So like, Anna and Elsa like aren't in the princess lineup, but then they were in the princess scene in Wreck-It Ralph. But,
And now they're both queens.
right, but they're kind of like, they're not really in the princess merchandise, but they very much were part of that scene in Wreck-It Ralph. But you're right, like they're queens. So I'm like, is that supposed to be like they're not princesses because they're not on the princess t-shirt?
Yeah. I agree. I like where they ended up, how Elsa, had these bigger things planned for her. Her destiny was to basically become a goddess.
Yeah.
She's not just a queen, she's a flat out goddess.
I love it.
And I really liked seeing Elsa take on a bigger role leadership wise.
Yeah.
Or at
she
least
really
life-wise,
comes into
because-
her own.
Right, because so much of her journey throughout the film is, Anna's very dependent on her sister, and she really thinks her role in life is to take care of her sister. So when Elsa finally it was sad, but you get, again, that kind of like in Frozen 1 where Elsa has to do something that you don't agree with, but you get it. How she like forcibly pushes Anna away in quite literally a frozen boat down the stream to get away from her, because she's like, I know I have to go on this journey and find my own path. But then she opens up a new path in that way for Anna as well. And Anna's life isn't just going to be being the sidekick to my sister and saving my sister when she's in trouble. She gets to rule a kingdom now. Does this make Kristoff a king?
Ooh.
Or is this like
question.
a Prince, Philip situation where he's like a consort, but not actually a king?
Oh, I don't know. Huh. We'll need to go to Arendelle History 101 with our historians.
I know.
from,
Eric, answer these questions.
Eric and Aria. Where would you like to see Disney take the franchise next? I mean, this is a big deal to have a theatrical sequel. This is only the third time Walt Disney Animation has done that.
Yeah, I think they could go the route that Frozen did, or not Frozen, go the route that Tangled did. So Tangled only has one of those sequel shorts. Frozen has two, but I think they could do another Frozen short about the wedding, like how they did for Flynn and Rapunzel. And I think that'd be fun. I think there's a lot of space there for antics between, like Olaf and Sven, which maybe it's too much parallels between the Tangled
with Pascal
version
and Maximus.
But I think, if the formula works, and I think people want to see these characters, and now that Anna's engaged, we're like, this is the first time I think, like you said, we actually see a proposal that's in an animated film. We are not counting Aladdin and the King of Thieves here, maybe. Does he propose in that one? Maybe, sort of.
I think it's just like, nope, they're getting married. They're finally getting married.
I think this is our first Disney proposal. Oh, I guess Flynn, at the end, they say, and Presley's like, I finally asked her and she said yes.
But we
don't see it. So I feel like a natural progression would be the wedding. Yeah. In some form. Maybe they'll pull a Prince of Thieves and make that the third movie, but there's all these mishaps that stop the wedding.
I don't know that I need a third movie. Like, I certainly liked both of these, but you don't want to, like, drive it too hard. But I also kind of went with a Tangled thing. It's on my Disney Plus watch list, which is the Tangled animated series that they did on Disney Channel. I haven't seen it, but I've heard really good things about it. So I think that'd be fun.
That could be cool, yeah, an animated series.
Where they go with that.
Or even just some more Olaf stuff. So kind of like how Mater from Pixar, from Cars, kind of got a couple of his own shorts.
Like a few
and
little Toy
solo.
Story shorts, or like another Christmas special or something.
Yeah, I could see them doing that. I agree that I don't know if I need a third film. I think this wraps up nicely, but I think you're right, like a series or some other shorts is going to be the way to go.
Well, I will say on our resources, I have something similar, which I found on Disney Plus last night. And if you search Frozen, it'll come up. It's like a Frozen Lego Friends series called Northern Lights. And it has a lot of just that good self-aware humor and some nice moments with Olaf. So it's our Frozen friends, Kristoff, Anna, Elsa, and Olaf, but they're Legos. I guess there's other like Lego short things. I don't know. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I watched
Star Wars
half of them.
is big on the Lego.
Yes. So
thing.
completely
And they exist
in that
in canon.
vein. It was
Like
it was funny. I didn't finish. There's I want to say 6 episodes, maybe 5. But I definitely watched 2 of them. They're like 6 minutes each.
Oh, cute.
I recommend it. I will probably go finish those after we finish recording.
So 2 others I had, we mentioned Chronicles of Narnia already. So I think if you want to go the literary track, that might be a good one to pick up because there's some parallels, I think.
There's more of a Snow Queen in that one. Than there
Exactly. But 2 other resources that are not on Disney Plus or literature. Saks Fifth Avenue is... I was recently in New York City last weekend, and they are known for their Christmas windows, the same way Disney dresses up their windows on Main Street. So does Saks on Fifth Avenue. And this year, Frozen 2 is the theme. And I think it was last year or the year before, it was Snow White.
Oh, yeah.
For the anniversary, and they were gorgeous windows.
I've seen some posts on Instagram.
It's that Disney really quality, pretty. Like on Main Street with moving pieces and almost that like standard animatronic, not audio animatronic, just a standard moving figure.
Feels like one of those Instagram pop-up things, right? Like there's photo opportunities within Saks.
Yes, so they have some sort of 3D experience going into the Enchanted Forest inside the store. And to launch the windows, they opened this past week. On November 25th, they did a huge performance featuring the music from Frozen 2, and Idina Menzel even made an appearance. And you can find that on YouTube.
Oh, cool. I'll check that out.
And then my last one, a plug for Google Home for a second, just because my mom found this and she thought it was super fun. We have a family member that works in Google. There is a new feature where you can say, I'm going to say it really quietly because I have a Google Home. Hey, Google, read me a Frozen story. Oh, no, it turned on.
Oh, no.
It's saying things. Hey, Google, stop. Sorry, folks.
I'm keeping
it. It actually worked. Darn it. I was trying to avoid it.
They are listening.
So it's really cute where the characters then read you bedtime stories, and you can pick a different character. You can pick Olaf or Anna or Elsa or Kristoff to tell you a story.
That's
and
fun.
They tell you a story, and I believe it is it encompasses things that happen in Frozen 2, I believe.
Oh, cool.
So it spans all the things Frozen universe. But it's really cute. The audio is great. There's a lot of sound. Like, it's not just people talking. There's music. There's sound effects.
Like high production value.
Yeah, so it's worth checking out.
Nice. Well, there are plenty of Frozen things to keep your Frozen needs satisfied. But in the meantime, we have one more episode left in 2019 for our listeners here. So we're ending it with another author interview. We will be joined by Jeff Baham to discuss his book, The Unauthorized Story of Walt Disney's Haunted Mansion, now in its 2nd edition. So I have the description of that from Amazon here. Welcome, foolish readers. Chill to the creepy but captivating history of Disney's Haunted Mansion. Come experience the mansion with the, quote, lights on, end quote, and learn its ghostly history, its sinister secrets, and its ghoulish special effects. There's room for one more, and this time you're it. Noted mansion authority Jeff Baham lifts the shroud and tells the stories on Disney's original plans for a haunted house attraction, why the mansion is there, who built it, and how it became haunted, as well as the dastardly deeds done by some of its residents in their corruptible mortal states. Board your doom buggy for exclusive photos and commentary by Disney Imagineers, including Haunted Mansion architect Raleigh Crump, insider accounts of the creative clashes over whether the mansion's haunt should be humorous or horrific, and the internal workflow behind each mansion rehab or addition, An analysis of the ride, scene by scene, with insights in how the effects works, the delightfully eerie trivia, and anecdotes from Imagineers and cast members, the stories behind some of the mansion's many denizens, including the Hatbox Ghost, the Knight, the Sea Captain, the Raven, the unhappy couple Constance and George, and the ghost host himself, and a discussion of the most notable mansion collectibles released by Disney over the years. Any volunteers?
Oh, I love the puns.
Yes,
all of the puns.
All the references.
It's awesome. And I'm looking forward to that, especially because we just celebrated the Haunted Mansion's 50th anniversary when it first opened in Disneyland. So I think this is a great way to end our 2019.
At the end of 2019, so we still get that 50th year in there. And certainly stay tuned for what's ahead for us in 2020, but we'll catch you for one more episode. In the meantime, you can follow Book of the Mouse Club on Twitter and Instagram at Book of the Mouse, or email us with questions or comments or ideas to bookofthemouseclub@gmail.com. Please be sure to leave us a review on iTunes so others can find our podcast and read and listen along with us. You can follow me, Courtney, on Instagram at GreatGuthsby and on Twitter at Courtney_Guth.
And you can follow me, Emily, on Instagram and Twitter at Emily_McD.
Awesome. Well, why don't you take us out with a quote?
So we said this quote already, but it's the popular theme and one of the major quotes from the Frozen film, which is, "An act of true love can thaw a frozen heart." And we hope that as we enter this holiday season, you remember, to let some of that light and warmth in, find some people worth melting for to stay around as we enter the new year.
I think that's a perfect tie between the film and the story, and one of the very few ones, as we found in this episode.
That's true.
But thanks for diving into a fairy tale favorite along with us. Bye.
Yes, thanks so much for joining us, listeners. Bye.
Book of the Mouse Club has no affiliation with the Walt Disney Company. The views and opinions expressed by hosts and participants are theirs and theirs alone. They do not represent the organizations or companies they happen to work for.